And then, Matt, I don't know how much you listen to the episodes and stuff, but the other thing we try to do is before we actually get into the episode is just sort of bullshit for a while and see if I can come up with a cold open for the show.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, no pressure, but, you're the new guy, so you got to give us some
funny.
gold here.
Oh man. On the spot, spotlight's on, man. Pressure's on. Oh,
I mean, I don't ever want you to feel pressured unless it's for the cold open. Then please.
So that time is now. I'm not saying feel pressure, but feel pressure right now until you say something brilliant.
Yeah.
So I can share something with you here. Maybe it'll inspire you. Maybe it'll help. But I have one of my favorite Funko Pops right here, and it's also one of my least favorite for multiple reasons. But right here, this is the T-Rex from Jurassic Park. And this is the most unbalanced piece of shit that will not stand on its own. It looks awesome. But it does not fucking stand. The head weighs 4 times as much as the rest of it. And it even has like the little like circle plate they give him.
I was going to say, doesn't it come with a stand or something?
Yep, doesn't work. Thing just falls right the fuck over every time. Because it's just so horribly unbalanced. And I wish it wasn't, because it's so awesome. But it just...
Well, I have my goat friend here. Speaking of, it's not a Funko Pop, but I use this as kind of therapy at work. And he is very well balanced. He can sit on my hand perfectly fine. And, if I ever get frustrated or, just need to let some energy out, he has this feature. If you can hear that, he screams. So.
Screaming goat.
You guys should just... Granted, it's very difficult to do over Skype, but just reenact the scene from Jurassic Park when the T-Rex eats the goat.
Yeah, that's true. Just have him just crawl along here, hiding in the trees somewhere, and the goat's
good
up
for
there.
an audio podcast.
For an audio podcast, this doesn't work. Like
picture
for those of you that can't see, I'm walking the T-Rex across the screen.
Just picture the T-Rex with the big head mode cheat on. And it's walking across the Skype screen, trying to eat Matt's goat.
And throw its poor little leg at Lexi.
I think we sold it. I think that's it. Hello and welcome to another episode of Bry Guy and His Super Friends. I'm your host, Brian Labick. Joining me for this episode is one of our veterans, Tyrannus, a.k.a. Mike Bradley.
Hi. You didn't have a quippy line to go with the episode.
I thought veteran was good enough, right?
No. I meant usually it's oh, welcome to Bry Guy and His Super Friends, and then you say something about what we're going to talk about that's clever in some way. You usually have something like that.
I didn't do that one this time.
Well,
I called you the veteran because we have the pleasure of welcoming a brand new super friend. So this is his first time on the show. We're going to try our best to go easy on him. Matt Nickel is here.
Hi, it's great to be here, and yes, thanks for easing me into the Black Guy experience.
Yeah, you and I have been trying to schedule you for at least a video game themed episode for 2 years ish. I feel like I've tried for
time flies.
2 E3s ago. I think I've tried to get you on for the E3 stuff, and we couldn't ever make it work.
Well, it's great to finally make it.
Yeah, no E3 this year, but we got you on for something else.
Yeah, once E3 is stopped, now I have all sorts of availability.
Yeah, so at least we got some sort of video game theme, and these might be more frequent, I guess, this year with the Summer Game Fest stuff going on. We don't have one weekend of E3. We have a whole summer of video game announcements, so we may be hitting you up more than likely for other episodes that are coming down the pipe.
Great, look forward to it.
Because we don't know what the hell's coming later, but
I certainly hope there's enough reason to talk about more stuff. I hope they give us lots to discuss.
Yeah.
I'm
already getting excited for the thing I tweeted yesterday for Monday. There's a Star Wars Squadrons game that we're getting a trailer for Monday, so I'm already ooh, what is that?
Yeah, that looks yeah, like a Squadron game coming back from Star Wars is awesome. Hopefully, we don't know anything more about it than the name right now. So
we had a name and like a poster. That's been it.
Yeah,
and I'm already like, let's fucking go. Like,
yeah, I share the sentiment, and I am definitely going to be watching that on Monday. And I think what I said was like, I really hope there's good story content there. And you brought up the Alphabet Squadron, which that would be awesome if it ties into it. Just to give you more lore to the characters in the game.
Yeah, because I think there's at least 2 Alphabet Squadron novels, I think, right now. And I'm assuming they're trying to do a trilogy of books.
I haven't been keeping up with my Star Wars reading. I got to get caught up again.
Yeah, those are ones I haven't read, so I'm not as familiar with those. I just know they exist.
I think I have it like pinged on Kindle to purchase the first one.
Yeah, okay.
And just didn't do it yet because I haven't been reading at all. Like, I just haven't been reading lately.
Well, that'll be something hopefully we try to... Definitely going to touch on eventually. I don't know if it'll be next week or maybe we'll try to let some video game news pile up before we try to cover some stuff. I don't know if I want to do video games every single week because I don't feel like we'd have as much listeners for that stuff as we do some of the other stuff we cover. But
fortunately,
we'll see
there's just
happens.
not movie news happening.
I know. That's the other thing too.
There's nothing. Like I'm jonesing for new movies.
Yeah.
And they're just not there.
Hopefully in the fall. We got something to hopefully look forward to in the fall. But, all right, so we're going to, as I mentioned, we're going to do video game stuff for this one. So we got 2 big reveal streams that happened over the last week. So we had Sony a couple days ago revealed the PS5 console and some games, and Bungie laid out their plan for Destiny, the game that just won't ever die that we always seem to talk about every time there's a content update. So we will be covering all that stuff too. So we'll open with the PlayStation 5 stuff. So this is, again, a few days ago, Sony had their video that they put online, probably about an hour, probably about an hour, I think, long, that they showed some stuff.
It was about an hour and 40 minutes, actually.
Oh, that long?
I'm trying to remember, because I watched it start to finish, but the YouTube video, I didn't get to watch it live. I had to watch the YouTube video, and it had like a half an hour. So yeah, probably like
countdown filler stuff.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't take that off the YouTube videos they put out. There's like literally like on their YouTube video, it's like 25 minutes of dead air.
Yeah.
Leading into the actual event that they were doing. And it's like, who's editing this for you?
Maybe eventually. I feel like it's just a live broadcast, whatever they do, and then you just like post it back up until they edit it out or whatever.
Maybe.
But either way. So Sony finally showed off what the console is going to look like. We got 2 versions of it. We have one with a disc drive, one that's completely digital. They previewed a few accessories. I'm not going to go over the specs. I think we talked about that before on previous episodes. They showed off 26 games, and sort of like we do, if you've listened to the E3 episodes, we really don't cover everything that they've talked about because that would just be, it ends up being too long. So we are not going to be covering all the games that were revealed and all that stuff like that. We'll just kind of cover what stood out to each of us personally, kind of thing. But just starting with the console itself. So I guess, Matt, you're the newbie. We're going to throw you into the fire right away. First impressions of the console, what do you think?
I am torn about the design. I respect Sony's stance where they typically wow us with the design. You know, they're not afraid to go different. You know, from the PS2, PS3, PS4, you know, they've kept us guessing with the designs each time. With the PS5, I kind of think it's clever how the shape of it looks like a Roman numeral 5. I don't know if I'm a big fan of the white plastic though. I think it would look a little sleeker if it was all black. For me personally, I think it might stand out a little too much in my entertainment center. I kind of like the more subdued classic look of the Series X.
Okay. Is everything on your entertainment center like black, dark colored? Yeah,
we have dark colored wood furniture, and everything else is black. You know, black Switch, black Xbox. You know, I can appreciate the kind of the bolder look of the PS5. During the event, I was wondering if it had to be vertical.
I thought the same thing.
I guess they released some screenshots where it can't have a horizontal orientation, which I think helps. It'll kind of sit in on a shelf a little more, which I think is how I would do it.
Right.
I'm also considering. I think I know which direction I would go, but versus the all digital versus the one with the drive. Thinking purely objectively, I haven't popped in a 4K Blu-ray to watch, I think, ever. And nowadays I'm buying almost all of my games digitally unless there's a fantastic sale on physical media.
Right.
So if I was thinking purely rationally, if the price difference was enough, I'd say $50 or more price difference for the digital only, I should probably get the digital only. But I also know how I am. I'll convince myself to get the one with the drive. I don't know.
Just in case you ever have to put a disc in, you want to have that option.
Yes. Well, I guess if it's $50 difference and you get 5 physical games that are $10 cheaper than digital, you'll have made your money back. But, I don't know if that would actually happen.
Just from a Blu-ray standpoint, do you buy 4K Blu-rays or you just buy movies digitally?
We mainly stream now.
Okay, all right.
We usually do Netflix. I have a giant shelf of DVDs, but those were largely before the 4K Blu-ray became a thing.
Right. Okay.
So I don't know. I even if to be honest, even if it's a $50 difference, I'd probably get the physical one. Now, if it's a $100 difference, which I would be hard pressed to believe would be true, that might be a little harder to pass up on the digital.
Right. Mike, thoughts on the console?
So I tend to agree with what Matt said about the price difference mattering, as far as which one to choose, because again, you can save some money sometimes on physical copies. I'm never going to use it as a Blu-ray player. That's not going to happen. I have a Blu-ray player in there. This will be in my office at the monitor. The Blu-ray player is useless to me. It would just be to save money on games by buying them physically, which I don't really do.
Yeah.
So the price difference will matter, because I would definitely prefer the digital version. It looks better. I feel like the version with the disc looks a little wonky because it has that protrusion on the side at the bottom, whereas the other one doesn't. Yeah, I can't say anything terribly bad about it. I was surprised they went with a white console for the first time at launch. That's a change for them. I don't know that I don't know, for purposes of arranging our media, I like that pretty much everything has nice squared corners. So you have a very defined edge of where it's going to be.
Oh, so you gotta love that Xbox console design, right?
Well, it's large. That's the problem with the Xbox design, is it looks like it's very large in general. I just mean in this case, I don't necessarily like rounded corners aesthetically.
Okay.
On it. It just doesn't, I don't know, fit aesthetically.
You see the pictures of the... They took the disk drive size and compared the Series X versus the PS5 side by side. It looked like the PS5 was going to be about 2 times taller.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I assume that's for cooling purposes,
yeah.
Which I'm all for. My PS4 Pro, I like it, but that guy's loud. My Xbox One X is virtually silent most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I was going to actually recommend to you. If they're recommending to do it vertical, that's probably for cooling purposes too, not just stylistically. So, a lot of times with consoles, if they recommend to go vertical, just do it. Even if it looks dumb, it can preserve the life of the console.
I always thought at least past generations, vertically was bad because of the disk drives. It would eventually over time, just gravity would start pulling the disk drive down when you lay the console vertically, so when you put a game in, it wouldn't read because it's off from the laser because the disk drive shifts.
That could be true, but I'm sure
when
they've sorted these things out by now.
That was when the disk drive would come out, eject.
Yeah,
which
they
don't
tray.
do anymore. So
yeah.
You'd still, I think now with the disk drive just being solid in the console, I think you'd be fine that way.
Yeah. And
I guess it depends on the quality of the components they're using. Especially for this generation, it seems like this upcoming generation, they're not sparing any expense.
Oh yeah.
So hopefully it's built. Hopefully in either orientation, it's built to built to last.
You'd hope they've gone through extensive testing if they are putting this out on the market with that way.
Oh yeah, I just mean it'll run like if they're designing it with the intent of vertical, it'll probably run a little bit hotter if it's on its side.
Yeah.
Like if it's laying horizontal, just a little bit hotter probably, just because I'm sure one of the fans or vents or something will be a little bit obstructed.
Well, plus, case. Like Matt said, if you put it horizontal, you don't get that V in the design. You're not going to
sideways V. It's like a Pac-Man. Or
Wow, you may be selling me on this now. I may have to get a yellow version of this console.
Yeah, I'm thinking I really like the console design. I don't know what I was really expecting, and it's kind of funny that like Xbox and PlayStation I feel like are two opposite ends of the spectrum now. You have a brick, and then you have something that looks next gen and very futuristic on the PlayStation side. The color scheme for me, I blue and white together is like one of my favorite like color combinations. So I am all for this console. I think it looks fucking great. That being said, if it was black to blend in with pretty much every other console that I have, I'd be fine with that too. Black and the blue light would, I think, look really cool too.
Well, you have the Spider-Man PlayStation now,
yeah,
so
that
you're
one
not really
that
worried about blending.
Right, yeah. Well, that was just, if it's, I don't care what color that was, it was a Spider-Man console. I am getting it and putting it on my entertainment center. So yeah, I think, for me, I think I'm kind of digging it. And I was trying to think, like Matt was saying, with the disc drive or digital, in the long run, I will probably end up getting the Xbox console and the PlayStation console. I don't know when, but just as the gamer in me needs to have both. That being said, I will most likely probably get the Xbox console with a disc drive, so I will probably not need a disc drive for the PlayStation 5. So my eyes are on the digital version for the PlayStation 5.
Yeah, that was a thought I had. I mean, I already have a 4K Blu-ray player with the Xbox One X, but I'll probably replace that with the Series X.
Right.
But, again, I know how I am. I'll probably get both with disc drives.
I mean, I'm assuming the Series X will also do one all digital too.
You would expect, yeah.
So there's always that rumor about Anaconda. that was found. Evidence of that was found in Windows of all things. The reference to the second. New Xbox. Be interesting to see if that is a digital only version or if it's actually going to be a lower spec one, which I think was the other rumor surrounding that.
To make it cheaper. Yeah.
I assume digital only.
I would hope that's the case.
Yeah, I hope so too, man. They're always going to develop for the least common denominators. So,
right.
Hopefully the Series X is the least common denominator there.
And Matt, you sort of talked about it too, but one thing that this stream did not give us was a price point. So we are still waiting to hear what any of these consoles are going to cost. I know we've talked about it before, our best guesses for what these consoles, whether you want to just talk about the PlayStation or we could even make a guess for both of them, the Series X also. But Matt, what's your best guess for prices for these things?
I think that both the Series X and the PS5 with the drive are going to be $500. I think it would be, even marketing them as a premium experience, I think it would be a hard sell to go above that. I think below that, they'd be taking too much of a hit, based on my understanding of the component cost there. So I think 500 is probably the sweet spot. The PS5 all digital, I think, will be $450.
Yeah. I can't argue that. I think those are right around where I'm thinking too. Because wouldn't PS3 or 4, which one launched at like $600 or something? Wasn't one of them
PS3? Yeah.
3?
Yeah, that
3 was way
so
overpriced.
Bad.
Yeah, so you'd hope they'd learn their lesson from that, and we'll never do that again.
And then this current generation, including Kinect and being $100 more, while being a less powerful system, definitely bit Microsoft, and they didn't quite ever recover from that. So, I think both companies are very sensitive to price, and everyone's waiting for the other guy to.
Oh yeah, there's one
hand
thing
first.
I am willing to promise about the price of these consoles. The one that announces their price second will be cheaper than the one that announces their price first.
Absolutely. I'm with you. I bet that both companies have their first price choice and their second price choice to undercut the competition.
So somebody's going to come out at 500, and then the next guy's going to be like, well, 450.
Or
bounce back,
like just I no, they're playing chicken. We talked about it a little bit in the pre-show. They're playing chicken with one another on this. They don't want to tell people what the price is going to be until the other one does. And it's not that I don't think it's that the price is going to be so high is why they're avoiding doing it. I think it's because Microsoft learned last time we came out first with the price. Sony undercut us by $100 on the price, and they outsold us because they were $100 cheaper.
Yeah.
I mean,
what's the thing? If they both know they're going to end up at $500, just fucking put it out at $500. Who the fuck cares? Yes. If you're both the same price, just throw it out there.
A lot of
consumers
have
to eventually.
Do care,
We're getting closer and closer. I mean, it's June, but
pre-orders are going to have to happen at some point,
right?
And they're going to need a price there. Which, believe it or not, there was actually one company that posted up a pre-order option ahead of time for the PS5. It's not an official price or anything. It was just their own thing, and it's some Asian company posted it for $800 if you wanted to pre-order it through them right now.
So they don't even know. They're just throwing out a number.
Well, I think their price was like to guarantee you can get a pre-order. You can pay us, whatever their price is, and then whatever the extra is up to our $800 price.
Yeah, I think Amazon UK did that too. They just said it was a mistake. I think they backed off from it. But I think it was £550, which I think gets us to that around $800 level. I can't see a world where it would be that expensive.
Oh, no way. Yeah. If they come out at $800, either console, it's not going to sell. It's too much.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, if it was to come out, honestly, anything above $5, and either one of them is going to struggle like hell to sell. And you're just not going to sell people on it because, especially in the economy we're at right now, where we're at in our economy currently, with so many people unemployed and all the crazy shit going on, you need to come out with an affordable price point. Yeah. And I think they both know that. I hope they're both well aware of that. But I guess we'll just find out whenever the hell they decide to actually tell us. I mean, it's one of those things where, like, I know I'm getting it either way, because gaming is a part of my life. It's what I do. But their mass market is not necessarily people that spend as much time gaming as the three of us do.
Sure.
So they need to sell it to those people. And then hope that they buy it. Because they know we're going to buy it. They know they have, that captive audience of X amount of people that are going to buy, at least one of these at launch, if not both, when they launch in the fall. And then they have all the other people and all the little kids and the parents buying it for Christmas. They got.
I mean, Microsoft and Sony, or at least Microsoft has said manufacturing is not affected by the whole COVID-19 thing. I'm skeptical. I'd love for that to be the case, but yeah, I suspect that definitely for the 2020 launch, it's going to be. They're counting on the hardcore gamers like three of us more than mass market audience. So maybe the price can be higher at that point. Well, 500 or 600, I'd probably jump on it either way.
I would not. Yeah, I mean, again, that's us.
Yes,
but I would not put it past that to be a lie that they're just putting out there, but I would not also say that I wouldn't expect some shortages of availability due to COVID on both of the consoles, and that maybe it's good to pre-order 2 or 3 of them and resell. You might be able to make your money back.
Well, I don't think there's been a console launch ever that's been able to meet demand that I can think of.
Yeah, that's true. There's usually shortages,
especially on launch. Like every console you try to go to by Christmas, everybody's sold out of whatever you're looking for.
I think some of that's manufactured shortages.
Right.
With COVID-19, I think it might be real.
Yeah,
but even still, like in the past, when even there wasn't COVID-19 to worry about, people were saying, they'd all say, yes, manufacturing is fine, we'll be able to meet demand, and then they don't every time.
No, I think what he was saying was manufactured, as in they were trying to create craze around the system by limiting the amount of availability.
Yeah, right. That's a traditional Nintendo trick. A lot of people say.
Mm-hmm. It must be great. Nobody can get one.
Right.
I mean, Nintendo makes a lot of money, so
Well,
I'm not saying they're wrong,
Well, they follow through on their product being great at the same time as doing that tactic, so it works both ways. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to the craze. I love watching people go crazy. It's people watching.
Oh yeah, it's an exciting time around any launch. I definitely get hyped for it. I mean, how can you not if you're a hardcore gamer?
For both of you, what is your best guess as to when we will hear prices? I don't know. Does Xbox have an event scheduled yet when they will do like some sort of other reveal for the Series X? Is it sometime in July?
Yeah, I heard July. I don't remember an exact date they specified one, but I believe they announced a July event.
So do you think we'll hear prices before that? Or do you think we'll get a price for the Xbox then and the PlayStation 5 somewhere around then? Or you think they'll both wait until September?
Yeah, I think they're both going to hold out as long as humanly possible.
Chicken.
Yeah, I'd say September is the absolute latest they could possibly not hold off. You know, to Mike's point about pre-orders, you know,
right?
How can you start pre-orders past that? I think early August on the early end for pricing, or September is my guess. I'd be surprised if Microsoft revealed it in July.
Okay.
I'll make the same point about chicken. I'd say you'll get one on whatever day, and within an hour, you'll get the other price. It'll be tweeted out by Sony that their price was whatever, and Microsoft will instantly be like, oh, ours is 100 less.
Yeah.
Don't you want ours now? Pre-orders are open.
Yeah, one thing I think they might try, you know, they might try to blur the value proposition a little bit, especially things like Game Pass. You know, if one doesn't want to be a clear-cut, cheaper option, you know, Microsoft could have something where, you know, our console is $50 more, but you get a year of Game Pass with it too, you know, so it's not quite as clear-cut.
Well, they do some of that stuff now. Like, doesn't Xbox has a subscription model?
Yeah, exactly. It's along those lines.
So you get a console, you get Game Pass, you get Live. I don't remember if you get games with it or not, but then it's like you pay like $20-$25 a month depending on what type of console you buy for the next 2 years.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So,
you know,
yeah, maybe they do something like that with the new console too.
You know, from Microsoft's perspective, I know they're heavily invested in Game Pass, and I think, you know, it'd be a bold move, but I think trying to really hammer that home would be interesting, since I don't think, you know, PS Now is an exact analog to it. You know, I don't think Sony has quite the answer to Game Pass yet.
Yeah.
I mean, the only way Sony's going to have an answer to that based on Microsoft getting that leg up on them is to put their exclusive games on their PS Now.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what Microsoft is doing. So, like, all these, you know, like Gears 5 and like any Gears game, it's just going to be on Game Pass. You're not going to have
Halo
to buy
Infinite,
that game.
Hitting
Halo
day and
Infinite.
day with Game Pass.
Yep. So if Sony does that, they can match them. So all these exclusive games, a lot of them we're about to talk about, if they're on Sony's service, then they're starting to make their progress. If you still have to buy them, then they're not as invested in that idea.
It's all first-party stuff that's hitting Game Pass for Microsoft, like Gears and... Well, yeah, because Gears is... Now I'm second-guessing myself. Is Coalition owned by Microsoft? They're a Microsoft studio, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think
because I know
so.
343 is for Halo.
Right.
That's a Microsoft-owned studio. And they were buying up studios all last E3, so anything that those studios are making, there's a good chance all that stuff's going to hit Game Pass. So you figure all the stuff that PlayStation was debuting in this video that was from PlayStation Studios, any of that stuff they're exclusive to PlayStation system seller type games. You put them on something like PlayStation Now, and yeah, that's a system seller in itself.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, Sony is fantastic for first party, and I thought this, you know, the state of play had a great blend of new IP and, you know, existing IP. You know, the very strong lineup, I think, from this event.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into it that way. Let's spin to the game. So again, we're not going to cover all 26 games that they covered. So just go around. We'll just talk about some of the stuff that caught your attention, some of the stuff you're looking forward to, personally to you, what stood out. We'll go with Mike. Mike, we'll let you start this one.
I'd like to say, first of all, that it was somewhat concerning to me. I started watching the event, and they led off with Grand Theft Auto 5. And I was kind of like, why is this the lead-in? Because it's like they're saying, like expanded and enhanced. For that to really matter, it's going to have to really be expanded.
Yeah, Rockstar didn't give a lot of details on what is expanding and what is different.
Right.
So
but for
we'll
it to be
see.
a big enough deal to headline this event is the first thing they put on. It was like, well, I get that Rockstar paid for that. You know what I mean? I understand that. It's just, it felt like I was a little bit concerned. I
think one thing that I was looking at, like, the little bits of information that Rockstar did tweet about what was happening with GTA 5 on next-gen consoles and stuff like that. The one thing they eventually said was that somewhere down the line, the next-gen console experience for GTA 5 will be getting exclusive content that is not coming to this console generation, which is the same thing they did from the 360 to the Xbox One, is that they supported, like, GTA Online for a while. It was getting updates on both sides of the spectrum, and then they just stopped supporting 360 and made everything updated for this console generation. They're going to do the same thing with this next generation. So if you want to keep up with GTA Online, you will have to buy the next generation and play GTA Online on PS5 and Series X.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one thing that they said for the PS5 event was that, it's going to be free to upgrade to PS5 for your GTA.
For just the online. It's GTA Online. It's getting a separated from GTA 5 as a whole. So you're not going to get the campaign stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. But
yeah, just you're
getting it for a free upgrade is what is the point. Hopefully Xbox and Microsoft can work something out along the same lines, because I really don't want to lose all the stuff I've done.
Oh, I'm sure you're going to
don't want to have to pay for the same game again. I
would guarantee you your character and stuff is going to transfer over. The difference would be that you have to pay for GTA 5 again for Xbox instead of PlayStation.
And that's what I mean. Like, I would hope that that's not the case, because I wouldn't do it.
I don't know. Sony's shoveling out that exclusive money for stuff like this.
Oh, I know, but it's not going to get me to go to Sony. I have all my stuff on Xbox. Like, it's not going to get me to switch because I can't transfer from Xbox to place. So it's not going to get me to switch if I have to pay to continue my character. But
it's like GTA 5 is the new Skyrim that just goes on every console generation from here on out.
If they announce Skyrim coming for this, I'm going to be...
Oh, it's happening. They can't stop now.
Yeah, they have to one-up GTA 5 at this point and go on 4 generations.
As concerned as I was, seeing that headlining, like, oh god, are they not... Like, this is the headline. Immediately the next thing they do is they drop a bomb with Holiday 2020, we are getting the next Insomniac Spider-Man with the Miles Morales game. And that, nobody saw that coming. They kept that under wraps completely. We knew they were making another game. We didn't know we were getting it this year.
So I still think there's some stuff that's... we need more information on this game, because I think there's a lot of questions here. The fact that it sort of got turned around so quickly from the Spider-Man game that came out, within, how long ago was that? A year? 2 years?
I think a year and a half.
Okay.
Because it's like, it was a 2018 game, but it was like late.
Okay. So that's still pretty quick to turn around a game. Like, I don't think this is a sequel. This is not Spider-Man 2. This is, as far as I can tell, some sort of like enhancement or expansion to that game. I think it's going to be a separate standalone title.
They said it's not an expansion.
I'm not thinking it's going to be like DLC. Like, it's going to be a standalone title. But I don't know if it's going to be a $60 game, possibly like a $40 game, because I think it's repurposing assets from the first Spider-Man game and you're just playing as Miles Morales. It's not a revamped sequel, as far as I can tell.
No, I don't think it's like a true sequel. But I do think it's its own complete standalone game.
Right.
Which, of course, they're going to reuse the assets for New York and like the city and everything. Because it wouldn't be different. That wouldn't make sense in the continuity anyways. But it's I feel like it's gonna have its own, I think they said it has its own full campaign. Like, it's not a shortened campaign, it's not a
right, and I think that's the difference
experience
between
in any way.
A $40 game and a $20 expansion. So I'm seeing this as a $40 game.
I mean, we'll see. Either way, I'm excited as hell to get to play it.
And I think the other thing too is like, is this for PS4 too?
I didn't see any information on that.
I didn't see anything that said exclusive to PS5. It said it was captured on a PS5, but I didn't see anything that said it was exclusively coming out for next generation.
To be fair, did any of these say exclusive to PS5? I don't think I noticed that on any. I saw the captured on PS5 on all of them.
And
but
which,
I don't
to be
think
fair,
I saw like only on PS5 for any of them.
I guess maybe I'm holding out hope just personally because I don't want to have to buy another PlayStation console for a Spider-Man game yet, because I'm sure I will eventually, but I don't want to do it this soon. But the fact that Microsoft, I think, is continually trying to push all of their games will work on Xbox One and Series X, I feel like PlayStation might be trying to do the same thing. And at least out of the gate, that these games will look and play better on PS5, but you can also play them on PS4.
Right.
So
it's possible.
Sony hasn't announced anything to that effect yet. Whether it's smart or not, I think that Sony's going to keep that separation. You can play your PS4 games on PS5, but unlike Microsoft, that's kind of trying to have more of a seamless transition.
So Matt, are you thinking this Miles Morales game is exclusive to PS5? You can't play it on PS4?
I bet so, because I think that'd be a system seller for them.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
The sad thing is you're right, because I will want to buy one because of this fucking game. I just don't want to have to right off the gate. I'm holding out hope that, it's more just personally for me that I'm hoping, I'm like, this is me reaching for straws. I'm just hoping it's there and they're not gonna force me to upgrade right off the bat. I don't know. We'll see.
But other than that, for me, things that stood out, the two biggest ones, Resident Evil 8, yes. Village, whatever they want to call it. That's Resident Evil 8. That's why they showed the 8. Wow. That I did not see that coming as a reveal yet.
That trailer for that reveal was fucking amazing.
Yeah, because you didn't really have any idea what was going on until they revealed, like it said, Village, and I'm like, oh, a game called Village, and then it flashed into the 8, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
that was pretty much my reaction. I watched the trailer again. If you look really carefully, you can see an Umbrella logo at one point. I did not pick that up.
Oh, okay.
The whole the woman speaking the local tale, I had no idea it was Resident Evil 8, until the very end. I was like you, Mike. I was blown away when I saw the 8 appear on the screen, Village, Resident Evil. I was like, yes, give me that now, please.
Granted, I didn't even play 7, and I haven't kept up with a lot of the survival horror stuff, but even I got excited for that part of the trailer. I was like, what the fuck is happening? This is great.
It was a really good reveal. And I feel like they chose the name Village just because they could do that.
Yeah,
they can make the 8 out of it too.
Yeah,
yeah, they're like, we can do this if we do that. That reveal will be great. Do that. I feel like I feel like we might see Ada at one point in that trailer too. That interested me because I felt like it was there, and I was like, is it or isn't it? It's like the back of her head. You can't, but it's the same haircut, so it's like, is that Ada or not? But then Chris showing up at the end of it was just like, whoa, why did he just kill somebody in cold blood? That's awesome. I can't wait for that fucking game. 7 was amazing. This one looks to follow in that same vein. It's Ethan again, so yeah. And the other one I know Matt is definitely excited for, as am I, is the Demon's Souls remake. This is important to note. It's a remake, not a remaster. So this is not updated to 60 frames per second with slightly better textures. This is top to bottom, remade completely. It's being done by Blue Point, not by FromSoft, which is okay. It looks amazing.
Yeah, I caught that. I assume that they have all the assets from Software. So yeah, I was originally concerned that I didn't see a From Software logo, but Blue Point's pedigree is pretty strong.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, for me, just as soon as it flashed to the bird carrying the corpse Because the first two images, I didn't know what was going on. I was like, oh, look, mountains, okay. And then you see the bird carrying the corpse, and you're like, no fucking way. Like, they said they weren't going to do this. They, like, for how long? FromSoft has specifically said they weren't going to touch Demon Souls. They were just going to leave it, so on and so forth. And the community has always wanted this to happen. Because the game is so good, but you can only play it on PS3. And keeping a PS3 around just to be able to play Demon Souls is kind of like, no. You know?
I'm hoping they add the fifth or sixth, whatever the missing area. You know, if you've played Demon Souls, you know there's a central hub area with statues that lead you to the various areas in the game, and one is blocked off, like one you can never go to. I'd be blown away if they actually added content that way.
That would be really cool. Like if there was some new areas in the game, or if I'm hoping it doesn't play the same. You know what I mean? Like, I'm hoping it's not somebody that's played Demon Souls before runs through and is like, okay, this is the same game, it just looks better. I'm hoping the remake takes some turns and you get combat that feels more Dark Souls 3 than Demon Souls. Mm. You know, like, I'm just thinking Flame Lurker, but at even faster speeds. And things like that I think would be cool. They can fix some of the fights that were not hits. You know, the dragon hide from it fight.
Oh, you didn't like that? I thought that was very unique. I think it's one of the most unique fights in the series.
It is, and it's cool, but I still want to hit it with a sword. You know?
I mean, fair enough.
Like it's just it's good and bad in that sense. But I think those are the obvious standout ones. One of the ones that caught my eye specifically, that's maybe not along those lines, of being like the big name games among things I have no idea what the hell it is at this point, was called Project Athia. That looked awesome. That trailer hooked me, and I want to see more about this. Not a whole lot more to say. It's just a cinematic trailer of that. And Stray actually looked incredibly interesting and different.
The cat one, right?
Yeah. That I want to know what I want to know more about that game. Like, that looks so interesting because it's in this weird dystopian, like, robotic future of some sort, and yet the cat is still just a cat, and it's walking around wondering what the fuck is going on, just like us. And it seems you would be in control of the cat, which is definitely a different take on a game like that. And I like interesting things like that.
Fair.
Looks like it would be a fun, you know.
It seemed platforming-y. What? It's a platforming game.
Could be.
That's what I got from the trailer.
I mean, I can't say anything to refute that.
There was jumping in it. I mean, that.
Yeah.
That I remember from the trailer.
I mean, it looked 2D-ish with like 3D-ish environments, but it was more or less a 2D side scroll from what I could tell. I think from what they showed.
Did you actually see gameplay on that?
I thought that's what.
I thought that was just a cinematic.
Third person behind the.
I thought we just saw a cinematic with a little touch of like he said, like third person behind the cat.
I thought there was like, I don't know. Now I gotta watch the trailer again, but I thought there was like some just panning 2D stuff, and again with the cat jumping on a couple platforms and going up to the roof to end the trailer. To me, I took that as platforming.
Could be. It looked interesting though. Like it looked like it could be a fun diversion and from the norm of the games that we play. But I'll let you guys go from there because there's a lot more there to talk about, and I don't want to talk about because honestly, this sold me on buying a PlayStation 5. This event sold it.
Okay.
So,
Matt, what stuck out to you?
Well, Mike took two of mine already. Yeah, Village and Demon Souls. In terms of existing IP, those two things made me very happy. The other existing IP item that I liked was Sackboy's Big Adventure. I hate saying that name, but
yeah, it's a little weird.
My wife Jen and I always enjoyed playing Little Big Planet co-op. So seeing a PS5 game that looked like it had couch co-op for up to 4 players from the trailer. That made us both happy. In terms of new IP, as we've established, I'm a big Soulsborne fan, so there's a few games that I saw that had kind of Dark Souls-y type elements that interested me. Godfall, for instance, that looked like it had kind of a almost Destiny or Anthem look to it, but with possibly Bloodborne-ish combat, in that there was no shields. But it looked like there was a lot of weapon variety and fast-paced action, so that caught my eye. I'd like to see more of that. The other one that I thought that may be the game that I'm, besides Demon Souls and Resident Evil, that I might be looking most forward to is Returnal. The whole kind of had some like Dark Souls elements in terms of, death being a major factor in it, but with some alien type influences on it.
That was the one where like she's the woman that was the astronaut, just kept dying and returning.
Yeah,
right?
and then like switched to like hellish landscapes at some point, and the mechanical bug was like integrating into her, like she's saying she's becoming one with the environment. A lot of questions there. I'm intrigued.
That one intrigued me. I just couldn't remember the name of that one. I remembered the trailer and I remembered all the stuff in it, but I couldn't remember what the title of it was.
I guess similarly, Pragmata caught my eye. That was the one with the astronaut and the little girl, like in the city. Then the satellite like smashes through the sky somehow.
So I wrote one note for that trailer, and it was just WTF.
Yes,
like I didn't know what the hell was happening. I was really confused.
There's the Inception like no gravity, started floating up in the sky and standing on the moon. Like, WTF? I have no idea what's going on, but I want to see more. I guess the final one that I thought looked pretty good, it looked like a good time, is Deathloop. That assassin game where everyone tries to kill the protagonist. To have that grindhouse look to it. From Bethesda, I thought that looked like that could be a pretty good time.
It almost looked like that had like some sort of force powery abilities too. Like there's some sort of teleportation thing in there. He was like throwing people through windows and shit. That looked cool.
Yeah. Almost had like I think kind of an overlooked game this generation is We Happy Few. I played that through Game Pass.
Oh yeah.
It was okay. It was like We Happy Few, but in the 70s instead of the 60s, visually. So, if they do it right, and I think they will, I think that's going to be one to look out for as well.
Yeah, I did have Deathloop on my list, too. I thought that looked pretty cool. Just because I think at first the trailer didn't grab me, and then the more I saw the gunplay and the more the abilities that you were doing and just the style of it. Just like the music was getting me, the narration like noirish was getting me. I was like, all right, I think I'm into this now.
I guess my note for a WTF game was Bug Snacks. I don't know if that's necessarily my kind of game, but the trailer caught my eye, with the little
weird.
Strawberry.
Yeah, I don't... you nailed it. I don't think it's my type of game, but I was laughing hysterically through that whole fucking trailer. The music, this whatever little catchy song they had that was like explaining the game as you listen to the song was fucking great too.
Yeah.
And the walrus, the walrus eating the strawberry and his arm turning the strawberry and like onion rings. Like what?
Not that I've played the other game that they've made, but when it said like from the creators of Octodad, I was like, oh okay, I got it. This makes sense now. All right, some of the ones for me, Matt, I'm actually surprised you didn't talk about Horizon.
That was another one on my list. I mean, that's gonna be fantastic. There's no way. I know you said, Brian, you haven't played Horizon Zero Dawn yet.
I know.
Definitely do so. Once you do, you'll love Horizon Forbidden West. I like that they didn't give away too much from the first game. I think experiencing the story of Horizon Zero Dawn is pretty important, probably for the enjoyment of Forbidden West. I don't want to say any more about that.
Yeah,
play it for yourself.
It took me a while to get through The Last of Us, which I just finally did over the last couple months. So I finally checked that box. Mm-hmm. But the next one, when I finally have some time to dive into PS4 stuff, Horizon's probably going to be the next one I try. I just didn't get there yet. But yeah, I have it. I own it. It's just sitting there waiting to be played. But a couple of ones for me that we didn't touch on. I mean, Spider-Man, obviously, hands down. And as Mike sort of said, I will fucking buy a PS5 for Spider-Man. I literally did that for a PS4, so I will do that again if I have to. Aside from that one, two other ones that caught my eye that we didn't talk about: Destruction All-Stars, which was like the Destruction Derby arena game, which to me just kind of felt like if Apex Legends and GTA Online Arena Wars had a baby, it would be this game. Which,
yeah,
for whatever reason, is just like, you know what, I don't know what it is, but it looks stupid fun, and I kind of want that.
Yeah, it looked like I still have no idea what's going on.
Matt, what was your combination?
I said I noted Fortnite plus Rocket League equals Destruction All-Stars.
I can see that too.
Yeah. For me, it was like I get some of the point of what's going on there, and then the other point I don't understand. Like, are they trying to run people over? Why are they out of the cars, then in the cars, then, like it looked like chaos.
Which, I mean, for a Destruction Derby-ish arena war type of game, I feel like that fits.
Yeah, exactly. Which is, it'll be interesting to see how it plays.
And, I definitely want to, see some gameplay, see some more of it, and see what the point of it is.
Yeah, how do I win?
Yeah.
I mean, other than just the obvious destructing everybody else, but like, how does it actually work?
Yeah, I wouldn't get out of your car to win. That doesn't seem like a winning proposition.
Well, I'm wondering if it's like a game type. Like, you can either be on foot or you're in your car, and it's almost like just a survival game. Like, you either get hit by the car or you kill the cars, because it seemed like there were certain abilities where you could jump on a car and plant an explosive and jump off and blow up the car.
I was thinking, like, maybe your car, you can exit your car.
Oh, maybe.
You can run around while the car's kind of driving on, like, autopilot. It's doing some autonomous stuff for you during that time, and then you can run around, like, jump out of your car onto another car. Crazy shit.
Yeah, okay.
Or maybe it's a cars versus people not in cars kind of thing. Like, maybe that's a match type where you got to try to get the people that aren't in cars, and they got to try to get you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But even just, like, I'm expecting some sort of car customization, too, like Mad Maxy style of, like, getting attachments for your cars and stuff like that. Different defenses and offenses. I think that'd be cool, too.
That is microtransaction heaven.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. The last one for me that caught my attention, and it's usually not a game that or like a style of game that I would probably play, but the trailer hooked me surprisingly well, was Little Devil Inside.
Oh, yeah, I noted that too.
The style of that I thought looked really cool. It seemed like there was a bunch of different abilities, and there seemed to be like at least definitely from the trailer, I think some humor to it, which I always appreciate a game that has humor in it. Like even some of the animation, like there's a real quick shot of this adventurer guy running through the woods being pursued by a bunch of natives that look like they have like blow dart stuff. And looking at the character, it looks like he has a couple blow darts in him, and I think it has made his arms numb. So as he's turning around, his arms are just flailing back and forth like Ace Ventura. And just that little scene was like, I am sold. I don't know what this is, but I want to play it.
So I had an involuntary, like, 13-year-old chuckle when the adventurer guy dropped a bomb and it, like, immediately cut to the old guy pooping. I couldn't help it. I lost it. I was like, damn it, I didn't want to laugh at this, but that's pretty funny.
They got me.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know
more than I know.
I don't know how the old guy ties into it. Is it like the old guy picturing himself as this young adventurer? Is he reliving past adventures? Like, what is it? And I don't know, but I want to know more.
Yeah.
So it's a sign of a good trailer. If like you don't know what it is, but you find yourself thinking and talking about it after the fact. So it grabbed me.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, one that pulled me in a little bit as well was Hitman 3. I don't usually play a lot of Hitman, but that looked good. Hitman's fun. I just never got into the lore or the campaign stories really that much. I never really cared.
Yeah, I don't know the lore of Hitman either, but it is fun just to try to sneak around and kill people.
Right, but this trailer actually got me interested in what's going on with that. And okay. I think that's definitely a shift. And the only other one that didn't get mentioned that I think 100% I will be playing is Kena. I I'm not sure how it's said, but Bridge of Spirits. That game looked like a really interesting take on several different genres, kind of combining all into this interesting looking game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked a little Pikmin-ish to me with the little like soot sprite things, like Pikmin meets Studio Ghibli, I guess.
But it also looked like it had like Soul style boss fights. Like it looked like it had some serious like fights in there where you're gonna be up against it with a giant monster and just a weapon in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what interested me. Like it looked very cute and sweet and like all that, but it also had a very dark turn into some of the way like the design of like the enemies. It was very interesting. So I'll definitely be playing that at some point.
I guess one game from the show that I almost certainly won't be playing, but I think it was unique, was Goodbye Volcano High. You know, the dinosaur teen drama game.
Yeah.
I have no idea what that's about. Like I said, I doubt I'd play it, but I have no idea what type of game that is. So I'll have a curiosity to see what that actually is at the end of the day. But
check out a YouTube video someday and
right.
Be like,
yes,
oh,
exactly.
that's what it is. Okay.
Watch somebody streaming it later.
Yep.
Just as sort of a side note, I don't know, Mike, maybe you're more than Matt, because I don't know if Matt's on Twitter, but were you scrolling Twitter at all during this event?
No.
I just thought it was funny because all the stuff that they're showing for the PlayStation event, the Xbox account on Twitter, as soon as a game was announced, was like, oh, don't worry, it's coming to Xbox too. Just announced for Xbox is this game too. Like they're trying to save face so that people don't assume all these games are just PlayStation. Yeah,
and I think like that's what I would say. Like some of these are just PlayStation. So the ones that are exclusive to PlayStation, so that anybody listening can know, Marvel Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Gran Turismo 7, Ratchet & Clank, Project Athia, Returnal, Sackboy, Destruction All-Stars, Astro's Playroom, Demon Souls, and Horizon Forbidden West. Everything else is not exclusive to PlayStation. So it's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 of the 26 games they showed were exclusives. But among those, among those 10, I would say there is at least 5 games there that I'm not missing out on.
Yeah.
So
I'm actually surprised nobody talked about it. Have you guys played Ratchet & Clank? Because I really haven't.
I haven't either.
That's a bigger pull for some people.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I know people have been wanting a new Ratchet & Clank for a while. I've seen people talk about it, but not a game I've ever played.
Yeah, the whole broken glass transition thing, I thought that was pretty cool in Ratchet & Clank, but yeah, other than that, I've never played the series. I doubt this would pull me in, but
okay,
it looks quality for what it is.
So we're all very far removed from that franchise.
Yeah, I agree. It looked cool. It looked good, but not enough so that I'm going to be like, yes, let's start playing this game.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, I feel like that game is a huge draw for somebody that's a lot younger.
Mm-hmm.
Or that has played the series, obviously.
Yeah.
But for somebody that hasn't played the series that's older, I don't think they're gonna be drawn in by that.
Last question for the PlayStation stuff: will you be buying a PS5 at launch?
Yes, I can't see myself not doing that.
Okay.
Tell me the price, and I'll tell you the answer. That's where I'm at with it.
Yeah. I was gonna say, what would be the highest price that would make you say, maybe not yet?
Well, I guess the idea is I'm either going to be able to afford both at launch, or I'm not. The Xbox will be bought first, because that's where, 90% of the people I play games with are on Xbox, and the other 10% are on PC.
Sure.
So I will be buying the Xbox first because that's where my friends are. That's where the people I play with are. That's, that's where it is. If I can afford both, like if the aggregate price of both of them is under $1,000, yes. If it's over that, then it starts to become like, maybe not.
Yeah, I guess I said an unqualified yes. At a 500, I mean, I probably will to be honest. You know, assuming affordability, etc. I guess if it was actually $600 or more, I might start to think twice about it.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'd be surprised if it was at that price point. So I think anything that's realistic, I'll get it out of the gate.
Matt, do you also
Yeah.
plan on getting an Xbox, or you just
Oh
the
yeah, for
PS5?
sure. Yeah, funny. Like, if you look at the the history of gaming, I've been more of a Sony guy. But this generation, especially after the Xbox One X came out, I've kind of been mostly on the Xbox route.
Okay.
It looks like for this coming generation, for multi-platforms, Xbox will probably be slightly better. It has slightly better specs.
Right.
So yeah, I'm definitely.
So you're like Mike. You're thinking at launch you're gonna try to get both, or are you gonna get one above the other?
I'd probably get both consoles at launch. Barring astronomical prices.
Okay.
Console gaming is my thing. So assuming I can afford it, I'm in.
Right.
Which is probably exactly what Sony and Microsoft like to hear.
Yeah.
At least I recognize it.
Well, it's good. You're not playing favorites, so that's good.
Yeah, I mean, all throughout the years, I've been a Nintendo gamer primarily, Sony, Microsoft. It changes as time goes on. So yeah,
That's what we like to hear on this show. All inclusive. Gaming is
Well,
gaming wherever you want to play.
Exactly. Console wars is fucking stupid. Gaming is gaming. You like video games or you don't.
Yeah.
That should be the question. I would say for me, like it's the scenario of, in a lot of circumstances, if cross play was enabled for a lot of things, I would probably not even bother with an Xbox, because a PC will probably play every game you can get on Xbox, and it works with Game Pass and all of that. But in this case, that's not the case yet. And I feel like if the price point is too high, you just wait a while and it'll go down.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where, like, if they come out of the gate at too high a price, you have to speak with your wallet a little bit and let them know it's too high by not buying it. And maybe next time they won't make that mistake. So hopefully they learned that lesson with PlayStation 3 and they don't make it again this time.
Yeah.
The only thing that you didn't mention that I would like to mention is something that they announced that's going to be on the controller for PlayStation that had previously not been talked about, and that's haptic feedback, as opposed to Rumble.
Yeah.
We're actually getting a form of haptic feedback, and I'm interested to see how that's integrated.
Are they doing that for the Xbox controller too, or just PlayStation?
Xbox controller is basically the Xbox Series X controller is an Xbox controller.
Oh, that's right, because all the same accessories and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
they mentioned haptic feedback for that.
I'm interested with the haptic feedback, how it's going to work, because people grip the controller differently. You know what I mean? Like, there's people that do that weird claw grip thing, and sorry if you're one of those people, either of you, but
No.
there's people that grip it differently, so I wonder how that's going to affect play for them. Like, if you have to hold the controller a certain way for it to work properly, would be interesting. Also, like, how much is that controller going to cost on its own to get, like, a second one?
Oh, yeah.
That's a concern. And will a company like Scuff be able to recreate it? Because what Scuff did with PlayStation 4 controller that helped me be willing to play more is they used the offset sticks. And the offset sticks of the Xbox controller is so much better, in my opinion, than, the parallel sticks.
Yeah.
So if Scuff can recreate a PlayStation 5 controller with the offset sticks and still have all the, effects that it's going to have, whatever those fully entail, what's that going to cost?
I bet $80 for a PS5 controller. I think Nintendo kind of set a new bar with the Joy-Con pricing, and with the haptic feedback, and Sony likes to put a lot of technology in their controllers. I think they're not going to be shy to charge $80 for another one of those.
I think that's a good guess. Yeah.
But yeah, it looks like a lot of thought went into it, and I wanted to note that. The controller, again, still those sticks are going to be a problem, but the rest of it looks amazing.
I'll sort of answer my own question as far as just buying a PS5 at launch. I'm still unsure. I'm again sort of holding on hope that at least Spider-Man is still on PS. The Miles Morales Spider-Man hits PS4, but if it doesn't, that might push me over the edge enough to try to get one of these fucking consoles. But I'm with Mike. I think if I have to pick between an Xbox or a PS5, I will probably get Xbox first. Well, actually, no. Now I'm thinking about it, because if all the games that are coming out for Xbox for at least the first year-ish of the next console generation can be played on my Xbox One, maybe that's less incentive for me to get an Xbox One or the Series X out of the gate. If there's certain games that are exclusive to PS5 and you can only play them on PS5, that might actually push me to get that first. So I don't know. I'm still very much undecided. We'll have to check back and see. But yeah, the Spider-Man for me is a selling point for that console. So if that's how it goes down, I might have to do that.
I mean, yeah, for me, Spider-Man and Demon Souls Remake, I was sold. I'm buying the console.
Yeah.
Had they not announced Demon Souls Remake, I may have just waited to play the Spider-Man eventually, because it does look like it's, just more of the same PS4 Spider-Man that we got. It's not
right.
Spider-Man 2 yet, like kind of what you were saying, but a full remake on Demon Souls with that, yeah, I'm sold.
I'd love for that to be a launch title, Demon Souls. I don't believe they set a time frame, but yeah.
Nah, everything still says TBA.
Yeah.
So, launch title would, oh my god, yes, I will buy it at launch. If Demon Souls is on there at launch, I will be buying it at launch. We don't know that yet. Looks like probably not with TBA on it, but...
Yeah, I'd assume they'd say 2020 or...
Yeah.
Make that pretty prominent if they thought it was going to be a launch title.
Right. All right, so we're going to spin to our second topic, which is all Destiny related. So we've covered Destiny stuff before. I feel like Mike and I have been a little bit more steady with the game as opposed to some of the people we've had talking about it before. Mike definitely puts more time in it than I have. I think you've kept up with it a lot more recently than me. But I think we can both agree Destiny at its core is a great game. The latest seasonal model and content hadn't really grabbed us, at least the previous one. The one that just started might be a little bit different. But before we get into where we're going, Matt, I want to start with you. Sort of like, where do you stand on Destiny? What are your impressions of it? Have you played it? That kind of thing, and just sort of get a baseline for you.
Sure. I played through Destiny 1. I enjoyed it a lot. I got Destiny 2, played it in the early days, and I kind of trailed off. And I wouldn't say it's because I dislike the game. I don't. Like, I've always enjoyed Destiny. I think if I had to put a reason to it, it kind of felt like it was difficult to keep up with. Almost too much content, which is rarely a bad thing. But it kind of feels like you have to be pretty heavily invested in the world, in the lore, and really be all in it to get the full Destiny experience. And in my experience, there's only so many hours in the day and so many other great things to play that I kind of just shifted to those other things and left Destiny behind. And with this, the more recent announcement with the season arrivals, Beyond Light, etc., it seemed like, again, kind of the impression that to have the full experience, to have the most enjoyment of it, you have to be kind of saturated in that Destiny world. The one exception maybe being Prophecy Dungeon, that stuck out to me as looking like a unique experience that maybe is a little more standalone. So if anything was to pull me back into Destiny, I think it would be Prophecy Dungeon.
Yeah, you and I sort of talked before we started recording, just like the state of games now in general is that some of these games just don't end. And back in the day, you used to be able to sort of complete a game, check that box, move on to the next one, and get through your back catalog, if you will, which I think all of us have a very extensive back catalog to get through. And I keep getting distracted by multiplayer games and games like this, that like Destiny, where you just play and play and play, and they keep doing other stuff to bring you back in to keep playing the same game. And it's preventing me from going on to play other things that I probably would like, which is why Horizon Zero Dawn is sitting on my PlayStation 4, just not being played. So it's a different landscape for games now. Like the games are so massive that you can't ever really feel like you finished it and move on to the next one. It's just continuing to play and find reasons to come back and play that game. So yeah, I completely get that. That's understandable. I guess since you've been removed from the game, Matt, have you kept up with any of the announcements over time, like up until this point, or have you been trying to play catch up with all the stuff we're going to talk about today?
Yeah, I've just been playing catch up, to be honest.
Okay.
It kind of dropped off my radar again, mainly because there's just so many other things I want to play rather than my disliking Destiny anyway.
Right.
That's not the case, but yeah, I have not been keeping up with it.
All right, so
in that single case, I will tell you, if the Prophecy Dungeon is something that sounded like it interested you, there is now a total of 3 dungeons in Destiny. It's not just the one. So there is those things out there, 3-man activities as opposed to 6-man raids that are mechanic-based and,
mini raids.
more hefty. Yeah, more hefty in content than a strike, but not as involved as a raid.
So as we're going over this, Matt, if you have anything you want to stop and need explained, or if you're confused and want to interject, feel free to just jump in, because I don't want to lose you and confuse you in any of the stuff we might cover. But I'm going to try to go over sort of what Bungie announced, and Mike, feel free to correct me too if I miss some details somewhere along the way. So a few days ago, the latest season of content for Destiny started. This is the Season of Arrivals. They called this a bit of a prologue to what's coming in the fall. So I think story-wise, and this is, again, someone who hasn't actually started this content yet, so Mike, you can chime in if I'm missing something here, but it seems like a bunch of pyramid-shaped ships began appearing across the galaxy. The Guardians are still trying to figure out sort of what's going on. Story-wise, I don't know if there's more details, or is that generally what's going on?
So the pyramid ships are the darkness. That is the darkness. We are the light. They are the darkness. The Traveler represents the light. The pyramid ships are the darkness.
Okay.
They've been around since Vanilla Destiny 1. They've been a part of the lore. The first ever trailer for Destiny had these pyramid ships in them, and they are just finally now, 7.5 years later, showing up, and we have public events tied to them. Currently, the public event is on IO, and it's going to be, I believe, next week on Titan, with these ships arriving. It is it heavily invested in the lore. If you played the Shadowkeep campaign, they've also been the race of beings within the pyramid ships has been known as the Veil. And that's kind of like not official lore title at this time.
Okay.
But it's been something that like was leaked as a name that Bungie uses for them unofficially.
Okay.
And you can see kind of an impression of that in the final mission of the Shadowkeep campaign.
Okay.
As far as, why they're there and all that, yeah, you're still trying to figure out what the hell they actually are, what the story's going to be.
Which I'm sure will be explained over the course of the season. By the end of the season, we'll get some answers and go into, whatever's coming in the fall.
I don't know about answers, but...
Well, at least more than what we know right now.
Yeah, a little bit more than we know now, I would say. They're going to trickle this out.
Yeah. I guess, like, content-wise, there's obviously every season you get new exotic weapons, quests, armors. This one comes with a new dungeon, like Matt was talking about. All that stuff's now live. Again, I haven't jumped in to really get a sense for what the season is. Mike, you've been playing a little bit. Do you have any just real quick first impressions of how this season's going?
I've been playing a lot, actually. So they have taken a lot of the feedback that people have given them over time about like bad luck protection on you're trying to level up and you turn in and oh look, I got the same thing that's already my highest power level and it didn't help me level up at all. They took that into account with this prismatic decoder thing, where you get essentially an engram that you can then take and decode into a specific thing where you choose armor or you choose weapons or you choose like between a few things. There's still some RNG, but say you need armor, you can choose the armor one and make sure you get a piece of armor, so on and so forth.
Okay.
That's a definite aid in leveling. The new public event is fun. It's doable for everyone. It's doable with random people that maybe aren't of a high level to do it, which last season that was their biggest mistake. And why everybody did not like that season is they put this new public event in that could have been very cool and could have been very fun, and they put the strictures on it that basically meant you had to do it perfectly in order to complete it. And you couldn't do it by yourself. You couldn't do it with just a fire team of 3. You needed a solid 6 to 8 people there to be able to complete it. This current one I've completed several times with just 1 or 2 other people.
Okay.
And it's not that it's easier, it's that the timer adds time when you do good things. So the timer doesn't screw you over out of the event. The enemies are still just as tough to deal with. You're still going to die because the enemies get you sometimes. But that was the problem last season, is the timer would run out. Sometimes you'd be at 90% completion, ready to finish it, and the timer hits 0 and you're done.
Yeah, I remember that for the little bit that I played.
Yeah, it was annoying. But this one is much more doable, and much more fun. I'm looking forward to playing it more on the other planet or planets that it goes to, or moon, I guess, in the case of Titan. And the dungeon is some of the best content they've ever created.
So you played the dungeon already?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It is... The loot pool for it is stupid. I'll be very clear when I say the loot pool is absolutely stupid. Mixed in the loot pool for the first 2 encounters are old gunsmith weapons.
Okay.
Like the Hooskow, the Widow's Bite, the Death Adder, things that you could just pick up at the gunsmith randomly back in the day.
Yeah, okay.
But also mixed in are Trials of the Nine. Not Trials of Osiris, but Trials of the Nine armor. But from back in year 1. And then there's a new set of Daito armor. Daito is one of the weapon manufacturers, armor manufacturers in the game. And that only drops from the final boss of the dungeon. So it's going to take a minimum of 5 weeks to get a full set of armor for any character.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha.
If there's bad luck protection on that, it may take even longer.
Yeah.
But what they did, they should have had a smaller loot pool. The loot pool for it is huge, and you're getting random rolls on some of these weapons, and there's just too many of them to chase down the ones you want and the roll you want on it. Because I want to say there's 9 weapons in the loot pool, and then 2 full sets of armor.
Yeah.
It's just too much.
Okay.
But the content itself, holy crap, do not miss this. You need to level up so you can play this dungeon.
Yeah, I think I'm somewhere around 960-ish.
But when you get the new season, you get a free pass up to 990.
Yeah, okay. All right.
So that it'll automatically make you there, but you got to get up to 1050-ish to be able to do the dungeon, preferably 1060.
All right.
But that's with season bonus. It'll require some playing to get there, but getting there is worth it for the dungeon alone.
Okay. Yeah, if
it might be the single best piece of content they've made.
If I start getting that deep into it again, I'll have to let you know, because I don't know really many other people that still play it, so you'd have to be the one to take me through.
And I absolutely would. I at least recommend watching it. Watching a playthrough of it. It's mind bending.
I did watch the trailer. The trailer looks a little trippy.
Well, what I can say is there's a room, the second major encounter. You have to complete it X number of times, but there's a cube in the center of the room, and each time you complete part of it, it sucks you up into the cube, turns the cube, and spits you out the other side, changing the gravity so that you're now on a different side of the room. So it's the whole damn thing just turns and shifts everything each time you do it. So And it's random, so you can't like know ahead of time, like, oh, we're gonna do this, and it's gonna shift that way. You go there. It's very, very cool.
So correct me if I'm wrong. The dungeon is free for everyone, correct?
I believe they said that.
So Matt, if this sounds appealing to you, you can jump in right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be the key. You know, I like the grind sometimes, but you know, if there's like weeks of grinding to be able to play these new things, I don't know if that'd pull me back. If I could jump back in, yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, it depends on how much you want to grind to get there. I mean, if you are
I'd have to
willing
grind
to
with
spend,
you, Matt.
Yeah.
You know, if you're willing to spend most of your time or all of your gaming time for 1 week just on Destiny, maybe you can be there by 1 week's end to be ready to go into the dungeon.
Just
I
keep
mean,
in mind, Matt,
really
you don't have a
play
week
last
time
season.
frame on this. It's a 3-month-long season, so you don't have to do it all in 1 week.
So I take a couple days every week for the next
Right.
month.
And that's something I feel like Destiny is struggling with personally. Is having this content available to people where they pay for the new content and they see this awesome content. Like, I feel like somebody like Matt would be much more apt to hop back into Destiny and play this dungeon if he could do it today.
Yeah,
Right.
I would say so. You know, things that are more.
But-
I don't know if it's compatible with the lore, but if it was more independent campaigns, basically, as opposed to more of a continuum, yeah, I think I'd be more apt to jump in for things like this. You know, jump in for a brief time. Great, I've seen what I needed to see, and you know, move on. Yeah.
Right, and they tried to make it that way a little bit with, like I said, like each season now they give you a free power boost up to what last season's almost max level was. They take you almost to the max level of the previous season for free. So whatever season you come in at, you'll be 20 points behind everybody that played the previous season in level instead of 400.
Yeah.
You know? And that's a good thing, but it's also still a grind from there to get up to the top level for playing the new content.
Sure. I mean, yeah, it wouldn't be fair to just I hop back in and they just immediately power me up to the max. You know, that wouldn't make sense either. I mean, I can certainly understand that.
Yeah, like it's a conundrum. It's tough on new players, but you have to be willing to dedicate your time to it if you want to play that content. It's worth it. This season, that dungeon is worth it. The dungeon will be gone at the end of this season, though, temporarily. There must be some changes they're making back end to the game in general that the dungeon doesn't currently work with, that it has to be like taken offline and fixed for. So looks like next season it won't be there, but the following season it'll be back again.
Matt, shall we make a promise right now that in 3 months' time we will tackle this dungeon together?
Wow, packed right now. I'd never say never. I'm not gonna be fully committal, but I'll say I'm mildly interested. Like I said, I don't.
Now that we've
hate
got you on
Destiny.
record, it's going to go out to the internet.
Say, I don't know if we want to talk about it, but the Destiny content vault that was interesting too.
Yeah, so so let's spin into what's coming, and I'm gonna start with the vault stuff.
Oh yes.
So, looking ahead to the fall, so what Bungie announced coming up September 22nd, we're going to get Destiny Beyond Light is going to launch. So this update that will set the stage for Destiny over the next few years. One thing Bungie stressed, this will not be a sequel. They are not releasing sequels going forward. They are trying to keep their promise of an ever-evolving world where you can keep all of your gear, weapons, characters. There will be no need to start over. So the bigger issue with that, and what I think Bungie is trying to get ahead of here, is the constant updates to one game are creating more problems. So not only is the file size enormous and updates becoming larger, but it's becoming much more difficult for Bungie to fix problems and update content because it takes too much time to develop for games of this scale. So their solution is to retire unused content into what they're calling the Destiny Content Vault. So when Beyond Light launches, Io, Titan, Mercury, Mars, and the Leviathan will be cycled out. This is including all their related campaign missions, strikes, anything that's on these planets will be gone. Now, before you start saying, you know, you're pissed that these destinations are going away, these are your favorite places to visit in Destiny, Bungie has said that anything that goes into the vault could come back at some point. So they're not gone forever. This is not a goodbye. This is like a see you later type of thing.
The Leviathan, I don't think is going to be gone. Because
just certain destinations
contains
on Leviathan.
No. I'm saying like, well, let me rephrase. It's going to be gone next season. They're going to take it out for a while. But it's got 4 raids in the menagerie on it, so it'll have to come back at some point.
Yeah.
The other destinations, as far as we know, lore-wise, at this point, are going to be destroyed in the lore.
Spoiler.
Well, I mean, that's what, like, that has been rumored around Destiny community for a long time. Whether it happens or not, we're going to find out this season. But the assumption is either the darkness takes them over or the darkness destroys the planets.
Okay.
And that's why they go away. If it takes them over, I could see them coming back. If it destroys them, I really don't see the lore bringing them back.
See, I don't think they'd say that stuff that goes in the vault has a chance to come back if they're not going to bring stuff back. So
they didn't necessarily say that all the stuff is going to the vault.
That's literally what the press release says. Is that the planets I just named, the destinations are going into the vault.
Says all of them are going to the vault? Okay.
Yeah, that was in one of their their posts on the Bungie website. They detailed what's going on with the content vault.
Okay. I didn't read that portion. I watched like the live thing and then read the
because I think
Bungie stuff, but
I think there were still some questions after the video, so they wrote up this whole thing of what was going on.
Okay, continue. Sorry.
So some of the stuff will get retired. The good news is that when these destinations go away, they will be replaced by Europa, which is going to be new for Beyond Light. They're bringing back the Cosmodrome from D1. And they're bringing back some of the strikes that were in D1, I think, for Cosmodrome 2. And eventually, I don't think right away, but eventually sometime next year, we will get the Vault of Glass raid back.
Yes. My guess on that is, like, the Cosmodrome and the strikes, fucking awesome. We're going to get to fight Sepix in... the 3 strikes that are coming back will be Sepix, Omnigul, and Kovic.
Omnigul, Jesus.
And those are 3 of the best strikes in the game. In Destiny 1. My favorite from Destiny 1 is still the Shield Brothers. Those guys are awesome. That was such an awesome fight. Yeah. Oh no, that was on the that wasn't on Mars. That was on the Dreadnought.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. You're right.
But those 3 strikes coming back, awesome. My guess for Vault of Glass is that Venus is going to come back as a destination at some point, because it kind of has to if we're going to get the raid back.
Oh, true. Yeah.
The entrance to that raid was on patrol in Venus. You could run into people entering the raid while you were out on patrol. It was a thing. So it kind of has to come back. So I would guess either, the winter or spring expansion. Hopefully, this is my hope. Because every year of Destiny 2, they have had a winter expansion. And every year in Destiny 2, the winter expansion has killed the player base a bit. Curse of Osiris, people just left. Season of the Drifter, people just left. This last season was season of...
was it the Warmind something? Or
Season of Worthy.
Yeah.
Because Trials came back.
Oh, that's
and
right.
people just left. So their winter expansions for all 3 years of Destiny have just been... not good. Because they had the season of whatever the Saint 14 season was called. I didn't play that one either because it wasn't very good, and then this one was even worse. But now they have a shot if next year in the winter Venus and the Vault of Glass both come back because the Vault of Glass is a guaranteed home run.
Yeah.
Like if they screw that up somehow, I don't know how they could, but if they somehow manage to screw that up as their big expansion, that would be bad.
I feel like I didn't raid a lot in Destiny 1, but Vault of Glass is still probably the raid I've played the most out of all of them. I do.
Fair enough.
That raid holds a special place in my heart. Maybe just because it was the first one I've done. And
it's the first one everybody did.
Yeah.
Mostly.
It's the first one I remember doing, and I don't know, that sense of accomplishment after finishing a raid is so nice.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, did you ever? I can't remember when you played D1. Did you do any of the end game stuff, raids, and any of that stuff, or no?
The only raid I tried was with you, I believe. I don't remember which one it was, to be honest.
Because by the time you came into D1, it was, I think, like King's Fall would have been that was the Taken King stuff, right?
Yeah, I think that was the current one at the time.
So I don't know if we would have done that raid or if we did a different raid. I can't remember now.
Yeah, I don't remember either, unfortunately.
So did we ever finish it, or we just played it and couldn't complete it?
Yeah, we didn't complete it. So
Okay.
I don't have extensive raid experience in
Matt's
this.
still the raid virgin.
Oh, you have to complete
okay.
one to be a non-raid virgin? That's
I think that comes with it, yeah.
all right,
You can't do just the tip. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. I mean,
well, Matt, you want to talk about the content vault. So is there anything you want, now that we sort of talked the details, was there anything you want to jump in and talk about?
I guess with the content vault and just that press release in general, I thought the press release was refreshing. To hear them say that, if they were to do it again, they would have expanded Destiny 1 instead of making Destiny 2. I thought was good of them to admit. I kind of felt that way, that Destiny 2 as a separate sequel went against their original vision. Per the content vault, I think they explained it pretty well. I think there's a pretty good justification that in order to move forward and to keep file sizes manageable, retiring certain content, I think they made a good argument for that. There was one statistic for Warmind specifically that it was something like 0.3% of all time played, but yet took 5% of the total install size.
Right.
And when you're talking about like 100 gig plus game, that's not a trivial amount. So yeah, like I said, a refreshing announcement. I thought the frankness was good of them to do.
Yeah, I think if they just announced like, hey, we're getting rid of these planets, I think people would be up in arms about what the hell is going on. So the fact that they just came out and flat out explained, we have to do this to save the game, I think that helps a lot. And you can feel for them, like from a development standpoint. Like I don't know of many games, at least any more off the top of my head, that have lasted this long basically on one current sort of build that is just constantly being built upon itself every year.
well, I mean, in Destiny itself, you said earlier, the game is fantastic. The shooting mechanics, the supers, the way the game plays. Like, forget the content itself, just the way that you move, shoot, the actions your character can take feel incredible. The world itself reacts incredibly well. So, for them to really make a genuine update where they would put out a new game would just be pointless. It would just be a tag with a new price tag, like a new name with a new price tag.
And more than likely, you'd have to start over and lose all your crap, just like we did from D1 to D2.
Right, and it's part of the reason. Like they said a long time ago that was going to be the thing. It was going to be one evolving game. That was their vision from the start. I don't know why that changed.
I would blame Activision, but
I'm sure
a guess.
That's also why it's not going to be called Destiny. That's why they're not dropping the 2, is because Activision.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Activision had a lot of say in it, but the point needed to be made at some point, I think, from the player base's perspective and a lot of the perspective of people who are dedicated to the game, which is a lot of people. I mean, right now the game is seeing like 1.5 million daily players, which is a ton.
Jeez.
That if you wanted to charge, like say, hey Activision, you could charge us $60 for this year's expansion, and we'll pay it. If you just would have kept it as Destiny 1 with all the content in it still.
Right.
We would have gladly just kept paying $60 each year to get the new big expansion.
That's how MMOs work. Like it's
right.
just a subscription model every year.
And
or monthly, whatever you want to do.
And Bungie saw that, but Bungie just kind of screwed up this year by going with a seasonal model instead of a yearly model. And the seasonal, I'm not as big a fan of the seasonal model.
Yeah, which I'll get into a little bit in a little bit here.
But where they're headed with the content vault I like. I would have liked to... The only thing I would have liked more was to see more of a dedication from them to bring back even more of the older stuff. Instead of saying, hey, Vault of Glass is coming back, say, hey, the Destiny 1 raids are all coming back. I would have liked to have just had that little bit, like, eventually we'll get there. They're not all coming back at the same time, but we're bringing them all back, just so we know.
I'd have to
we don't
assume
have to question that.
That's sort of, I guess without being told officially, but I guess I'm sort of just assuming that. Like, this is almost a trial run for, like, what we can do with older retired content from D1 and try to make it... Because
people want it back.
Right, and I'm
so
assuming...
good.
I'm assuming they got to work on all that stuff to just update it and get it ready for D2, just because, two different games type of thing.
Absolutely, and that's what I mean. Like, tell us you're doing it, though. Tell us, like, yes, we are working on all of it coming back.
Yeah.
And cycling things in and out. It doesn't have to be it's all going to be there at one time. But if you're cycling in the Cosmodrome and those three, and you're cycling out a bunch of other content, maybe next time you cycle in some more D1 stuff and cycle out the Cosmodrome and those three.
Yeah.
And you just... but keep it as a revolving door of what raids are available, what strikes are available from all the content you have available. And I feel like that'll make a much more interesting season-to-season play.
Yeah.
It definitely seemed like that was the direct, without saying it, from that press release, it sounded like that's kind of their intention. I think Brian's point of the D1 content being somewhat of a trial run, I think is probably spot on. I'd be pretty surprised if if the D1 content's a huge hit, that they wouldn't try to continually trickle in with every update. Bring back some D1 thing.
They actually did already one story mission. They did bring back for new players, which you could play as a veteran player if you wanted to on Destiny 2. But they brought back the first story mission in the game that you ever played in Destiny 1, where the ghost wakes you up and you fight your way through the Cosmodrome and all that. They brought that mission back, and I feel like that was their big test. Was, how's this going to work? How's it going to look? How are we going to do it? And then they did it, and it worked, and it was great. And they're like, okay, we can move forward with the rest. Now we just have to see how long it takes them to roll that stuff out.
Also, for one little mission is, that's the alpha. The beta is, let's give us a whole destination and a raid and see how that works. Then if all that plays out, then we'll really move forward on more D1 stuff.
Right, and I feel like they had a large build of the Cosmodrome ready to go for that, because that mission takes place in the Cosmodrome. Oh,
that's right. Yeah.
So
right.
I feel like that's why we're getting Cosmodrome first, is that's where they started, and they started building it, and we got to play that snippet of it in that story mission, and now it's going to expand and be much bigger.
Gotcha.
So... Cosmodrome was a cool destination. We'll see if the Plague Lands are part of it too. That would be cool.
I think they said some of the Cosmodrome is available in the fall, and then they're going to bring in another section. Like, the entire Cosmodrome is not there in the fall.
Okay. So probably not the Plague Lands then.
So maybe not, yeah.
Yeah, like the Rise of Iron stuff won't be there, but the rest of it probably will.
All right, so
I'm going to guess.
I'm going to hit some other bullet point stuff, and then we'll just talk about everything else here. Some of the story elements for Beyond Light that they talked about. So we will finally see the return of the Stranger, who is someone who showed up during the campaign of D1 and then just disappeared and you've never heard from again. So that's, 6-7 years ago? Finally bringing her back?
I mean, that's the vanilla D1 campaign.
Yeah.
Is the last time we saw her, so...
They talked about getting a new ability for your character. They're going to have something called Stasis, which is an ability that comes from the darkness instead of the light.
It's a whole subclass.
Yeah, okay.
The new supers, new grenades, and it's a new element that's going to be on weapons.
Oh, that's right. Okay, you're right.
So instead of just 3, there's going to be 4 now. Things I would question on that is how that's going to affect that one specifically. Like things like Hard Light and Borealis that you can change between the current elements.
Right.
Is it just going to be the old ones, or are they going to add that to it? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
You get the Hard Light 2.0.
Yeah. But it did look like this is kind of icy in some way.
Yeah.
From some of the video.
Sort of touching on the seasonal model that Mike was talking about. They confirmed the FOMO seasonal model is going away. So I know that's been a big gripe for Mike. I think a lot of people did not like this type of content. And I think maybe that's part of the reason I kind of fell off, is just like I especially these couple seasons, felt like, to Matt's point, you just had to grind them out to get what you wanted, and I cannot stick to a game for that long, for that intense of a time.
Right, and it is intense because it's every 3 months, go and grind again and get your level up. Something I really hope that they do is that they boost our level in the fall, and that you don't have to level up again when the new content comes out. You know, so when the DLC, or not the DLC, but the expansion pass stuff on that seasonal model starts rolling out, you don't have to level up again to play it. It's just new content that's there, new loot to get, new stuff to do, but there's not that race, or not even race, just that grind to get back up to level so you can play the new stuff. That needs to go away. And losing the FOMO is good, but what's the replacement? That's what they haven't talked about it.
Yeah, so we're still waiting to hear what the seasonal model looks like going forward, but it's not going to be so tied to the FOMO stuff. So hopefully that's good. I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, until we know what it's being replaced by, I'm hesitant to say it's good versus bad, but getting rid of the FOMO is good.
A little bit more of the technical stuff. They said that when the new consoles launch in the fall, you will be able to upgrade your game to next gen for free. So, your current game will work on PS5, Series X consoles. Everything will carry over. They also said they will have intergenerational crossplay available with Beyond Light. So this is not complete crossplay. This is if you're on Xbox One, you can play with friends on Series X, and PS4 with PS5, but you can't go PlayStation and Xbox yet.
Or PC and Xbox.
Right. But they did confirm they are actually working on complete crossplay. So it's something that will show up down the line where you will be able to play cross-console families, Xbox, PS5, PC, all that stuff eventually we'll be able to play together. So, and Andy will never listen to this, but Andy, do you hear me? You will be able to play with us on Xbox on your PlayStation 4. He keeps saying he has no one to play with Destiny, so eventually this will work, and you can play with people. we will do this.
2 years down the road, you'll be able to play with us.
And the last thing they sort of talked about was just the sort of the content that's coming years down the line. So 2021 will be something called the Witch Queen, and in 2022 we're getting something that is has a working title of Lightfall, which no details were shared about what they are or what's going on there, because they haven't given us a whole bunch with Beyond Light yet, but they laid out a plan for the next 3 years.
The Witch Queen we know is Savathun.
Okay, see, I'm not as tied to the lore, so I don't know where that's at.
That's like Oryx was the Taken King, and he had 2 sisters, Savathun and Xivu Arath. And Savathun was the witch. Oryx was a knight, and Savathun was a witch.
Okay.
And the Witch Queen is Savathun.
Okay.
So
we
know it's Savathun, but we don't know what is going to happen with Savathun, but we know the Witch Queen is her.
Okay. Last call, Mike. Any details that I missed? Do you want to cover?
It's a Fallen expansion in the fall this year. So Beyond Light is our main enemy is going to be Aramis, who's a Fallen captain.
Okay.
So new type of Fallen enemy coming to the game. They said it's going to be Fallen with darkness abilities. So it's not going to be your standard run-of-the-mill Fallen, kind of the way the Siva Splicers were different.
Right.
These are going to be different sorts of Fallen.
Okay.
Other things, they turned off skill-based matchmaking as a change. I'm not going to get into whether that's good or bad or not, but they did that. So if that interests you, that's something they just did. And I think it's good to touch on the live event that they did. And say that was both good and bad, and that they had this amazing 90-second live event that we had to wait 90 minutes to see. That was the biggest problem. They told everybody, be here at this time for it to happen, and then an hour and a half later it finally actually happened. What happened was awesome. The wait to get there was not. It could have been a lot shorter than it was.
Matt, for someone who hasn't played, there was a spaceship on a collision course with Earth, and
Yes.
the Rasputin AI defense system was firing missiles at it that was happening in-game. So, not even Mike. I had another buddy text me and was like, at 2 o'clock, this thing is going to blow up and crash. Get on and watch it. So, at 2 o'clock, I got on and stood there and watched it in the sky for a half an hour as these missiles were coming at it, and then eventually 2:30ish blew up and then fell to the ground.
So was there a
I was
glitch
like-
there? Was that in their
No,
intention?
it was intended. So what was happening is you could watch the missiles that were fired slowly get closer. And it was in the skybox for everybody. It was a live event, so like across the game, everybody was seeing it all happen at the same time. But you couldn't. It's not a replayable or seeable event,
So that's that FOMO stuff we were talking about.
right? And you just watch these sparkly missiles get closer and closer to this thing that was kind of blocking out the sun a little bit. And eventually they impacted it. There was a big white explosion, and then you got to see like 90 seconds of awesome once the explosion happened, and then it was crashing toward Earth. But the hour and a half leading up to those 90 seconds was, like, he said a half an hour. They told everybody 1 o'clock. So whoever told him at 2 o'clock, they were wrong about 2. But Bungie said 1 o'clock, and it was just kind of like, you could have did this way faster. This should have been a half an hour event maximum.
Well, meanwhile, like I was thinking like, oh shit, I need to get in there and see this because maybe I'll miss it. So the FOMO hooked me, and I was like, I need to see what's happening. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
like an hour after it was over, you could just watch a 5-second time lapse of what happened, and I would have been fine.
Yep.
Like,
So hopefully if they plan more live events, they've learned from that mistake.
It sounds like maybe they were thinking they wanted to give people plenty of time to come in. If not everyone could be there at the exact time. But
right?
yeah, an hour and a half is that's a little painful to wait. Yeah.
They announced a week ahead of time when to be there. They
fair
were like, be
enough,
at the tower at this time on this day. Something's going to happen. And everybody, like, if you played the game enough, you knew it was coming because this thing has been getting closer and closer through the whole season. Like, you could see it way off in the distance as a little dot on the sun, like 2 months ago. And then it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then this event happened. So, I don't know. It's kind of like it was a 2.5 month live event, actually, because it was just slowly getting bigger throughout all of this. So, in those terms, it actually worked pretty quick.
Any other details we want to touch on, Mike?
Um,
Because other than that, it's just kind of like, I'll toss it to you guys. What do you think about the announcements? Anything caught your attention right off the bat? And I guess more specifically for Matt, I don't know how much of this interests you. Is there anything else that's might bring you back in, or is it still kind of like I got other crap to play and the grind is still intimidating?
I guess as of right this second, to be frank, I'm not immediately pulled back in. Like I said, Prophecy Dungeon kind of caught my eye the most. It looked the least Destiny-ish, which is not to speak against Destiny, but something I think really fresh and new. I think it would take to pull me back in.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'll throw down the challenge. If you want to experience the content, we can try to find some time to grind some stuff out together.
and the truth is, if you want to experience the other two dungeons, I don't know if you have to own any of the content to play some of the other dungeons. I'm not sure about
One
that.
of them was Dreaming City, so that's got to be Forsaken
don't know if-
content.
Yeah, but I don't know if you have to own, because you don't have to own the content to access the Dreaming City.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I see what you're saying.
But I don't know about the dungeon, because I own the content, so I can't find out.
Right.
Like, if I try to launch it, it launches. Nonetheless, you would be of level to do the other two dungeons if you wanted to experience those right away.
Sure.
The only one you wouldn't be, and that's for free. That's New Light. You can just, hop in and it'll make you of level, because everybody goes up to 750 instantly with New Light. And then with the new season, like I said, it gives you a 990 drop of a full set of stuff.
So Matt, you haven't purchased any of the content for Destiny 2 at all, right? So you
No,
haven't got
just the base
Forsaken or
game.
anything.
Nah, yeah, I just purchased the base game.
Okay.
But, yeah, I mean, for me, the biggest thing I'm looking forward to is just seeing where all of this actually leads. What is actually going to come of their new seasonal model, whatever it is. And when the fruition and the bliss of having all that Destiny 1 content cycling in and out is actually going to happen. I really look forward to that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the nostalgia for D1 stuff will probably bring me back and entice me to jump in and see what the hell's going on, just because, you know, I haven't jumped back to Destiny 1 since playing Destiny 2. So that's been, 2-3 years at this point? So anything that sort of brings me back to that, I'm a nostalgic person, so I like revisiting stuff like that. So giving me an excuse to do that would probably bring me back in. We sort of talked about it before. The grind of this game is, I think, what's wearing on me the most. So if there was a way, like Mike said, to just kind of jump in, experience content without having to grind for 2 weeks before experiencing said content, I would be much more likely to come back to this game more frequently.
Yeah.
But coming in and then knowing I have to do all this other crap just to get my light level up to play the stuff I want to play. And I think I was telling Matt before we recorded, like, I really haven't played Destiny hardcore for a couple months, 3 months, 6 months. Most of these seasons haven't really grabbed me, so maybe 6 months-ish. I haven't really been in grinding, and I've been happier for it. I've been playing other things that I enjoy, and like, I don't feel like I'm just wasting for nothing for a never-ending game, and then having all that stuff be worthless by the time the next season comes out. Like, I'm better off this way. So I can't stress enough. It's a really fun game to play. The mechanics are great. The shooting gameplay is great. I do enjoy the lore. I just, just the time commitment involved with grinding to get to where I want to be, to experience all the stuff that I want to experience, is just, it's daunting. And
right.
After 7 years of doing it, it's finally taken its toll when I'm just like, just let me play your game.
And I think there's a couple in set. Like I said before, like, it would be nice if it was a once a year grind and you had that whole year to grind your level up.
Yeah.
You know?
I would be fine with that.
That would be nice. And it would also, you know, what I was going to get to, I think, is like, the reason I think the Destiny 1 content is so important for Destiny 2 at this time is they have all this content that's already made that just needs updated. You know, it's all this content that's already out there. You don't need creative behind it. You don't need, you know, any of the other stuff that goes into making that content. You just need to update it so that it works with the new game.
Right.
And that variety is so badly needed right now in Destiny 2. Because we go in and say you want to play some strikes. They've added like 3 new strikes in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
4 strikes in the last 2 years have been added. And other than that, the other 13 strikes that are in the game have been there since like year 1. And it's just, oof. It is not much variety for what you're doing. You've played these hundreds of times by now to level up each season if you're a dedicated player. And I don't know what the total number of strikes is in Destiny 1, 12, 15, something like that. Whatever that number is, having those in there too would just be so refreshing to have some, like that many different strikes. You're not going to get so many repeat experiences when you go weekly to do your weekly 3 or 9 strikes if you're doing all 3 characters or whatever.
Right.
Whereas, you know, and then you got Nightfalls on top of it. And it's just, it's rough. Like, that's the only way to put it. It can be rough trying to level up when you're playing the same content over and over again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of this at this point is a kind of wait and see approach. I think everything sounds good, but I think a lot of their content updates always sound good until we start.
Oh, they're very good at. They're very good at hype.
Yeah.
Bungie has always been good at hype.
I feel like every time they do one of these, I'm like, let's talk about it. And then, like, by the time the stuff releases, and it's like, let's talk about what you thought. It's like me and Mike. No one else has jumped in and tried anything. So yeah, we'll have to revisit and see. Maybe in the fall, maybe not right at the start, but you know, maybe November-ish or October, if anybody has jumped in and tried it. See what we think.
And don't forget what Bungie has always said, and what would make the game a lot better for you: the friend game is the end game. You got to get in there and play what your friends are playing, do what they're doing.
And I think that's a lot of it,
that's
too.
how it works. It's a game meant to be played multiplayer.
Yeah, I completely agree. Because I've tried jumping in just by myself just to try to do stuff. I get so bored so easily by myself that I'm like, fuck this, I'm going to play something else. The people that I used to play with all the time, like Romano and Eric, they were my fire team. They bailed out, and they got to the point where if they wanted to play, they had to grind to get to me, and then we had to grind together to get to the stuff we want to play. So it was just like, it was too much. Everybody got off track from
that's
everybody.
That's what happened to me and you, is I got so far out ahead of you.
Right, yeah.
And you got to grind to catch up to me, and it becomes that pain in the butt to, like they said last year they wanted that to go away. They wanted the idea that, oh, my friends haven't caught up so they can't play the same content that I do to not be a thing anymore, but it still is.
Yeah.
And I think hopefully they can solve that soon.
And that's the thing is, like, the Mike and Eric, what we typically play now is Call of Duty, which we could all be different levels, but we can still jump into the same content and play the stuff the same.
Yeah, you're not at a disadvantage.
Right.
Like, you may not have your gold custom weapon if you're behind, but you can still shoot the same and it still works the same. And,
So that's the type of game, at least multiplayer wise, that I've been gravitating toward. I do agree. This game is meant to be played with friends. Fire team 3 of people, 3 people, 6 people, it doesn't matter. But this is not and this is what Andy constantly talked about too, is he eventually started playing by himself and couldn't do what he wanted to do and then got bored with it and bailed out.
Yeah. You got to have a fire team. And, not everybody, like, I can be a social butterfly and go out there and just meet new people and I don't care and have people to play with. Not everybody works that way. People want to play with their friends. They don't want to go find new friends to play the game with.
That is much my preference too. That's why I'm trying to push Matt into jumping in with me a little bit here.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not gonna go out and play with strangers. It's not gone well for me. I'll put it that way.
All right, you guys have any final thoughts for Destiny? Otherwise, we'll close it down here.
Not for me.
Not currently.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess that's it for us. If you've enjoyed the show, please support us. Leave a 5-star rating and review. You can give us a share on social media. That'd be great. You can follow, subscribe to keep up with the show. We are on Spotify, iTunes, Google, Anchor, Stitcher, hopefully anywhere that podcasts are, you can find us. We have a Facebook page. You can search Bry Guy Super Friends or go to facebook.com/BryGuySuperFriends. You can send us questions, comments, topic suggestions, interact with us there. You can try to email us, bryguysuperfriends@gmail.com. I won't check it. It's there for show. You can hit us up on Twitter @BGSuperFriends. That we'll see. We'll be able to talk to you there. And that's it for us. Matt, thanks for joining. First episode in the books.
It was a good one, I think.
Yeah, good. On behalf of Matt, Mike, too many M's, I can't keep track. On behalf of Matt, Mike, and myself, thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.